Hey, deserving listeners, The Ultimatum, Season 2. My name is Dr. Kirk Honda. I'm a therapist and a professor. Sometimes I say my name is Kirk, as in captain, and Honda, as in the lawnmower, or because that's kind of a dad joke, or Honda, as in Civic or something, or Accord. Anyway, I should say that what I usually say, which is that everything I say in reaction to this video, as I say things, it is speculative. Try to couch it in that caveat or disclaimer, but if I don't, then just keep that in mind. Oh, let's watch.
Now you want to go home for what? I want to go home today. Listen here. Now you want to go home. Now you're crying because of what? Quit. Leave me alone. I just want to go home. Stop. Let's just talk. Let's just talk. 3 months. Put it down. Let's talk. Put it down. Let's talk.
Okay, so they went to bed and they seemed initially to be having a good time. They were wanting to connect before they disconnect for the dating period of this show. And then they fast forward and there's this camera in the bedroom invading their privacy, but presumably they knew this was going to happen. And she's now saying she wants to go home. She sounds pretty upset. He's saying, what did I do? It seems weird that they wouldn't show us the footage. Presumably they have the foot. I mean, did she just suddenly wake up from it being to include in the show? I don't know. Or too graphic? I don't know. But she seems like she's panicking, actually. It's not like, you know what? I think I'm going to go home. It's more desperate, more panicking, more anxiety-ridden. And he is saying, no, don't go, and then he puts hands on. I don't know, maybe she appreciates this, but I wouldn't recommend, if I were there, especially if I didn't know them, I would, sure, but don't put hands on. It looks like she's picking up the phone to make a call, maybe to get a car or an Uber or something, or a friend, and then he takes the phone away from her. I mean, given everything we've seen, it's not a huge indication of something, but I don't know. I don't know what I'm seeing, but we could be seeing something that is not okay. We could also be seeing something that is not okay. Get off me. I just want to go home. So, yeah, let her go home. Okay, so they have a static camera in the corner of the bedroom. They deemed it worthy to show us that, but not the before or after. I guess I'm just upset because as a viewer, I'm curious. I don't know. Maybe we'll hear what happened.
When we both walk out of here, we're going to be both single.
You just love that, don't you?
I didn't say all that. It's a hard pill to swallow. When you see...
So now they're just back on the couch, and they're happy seeming, and everything's fine. Like, what happened? I mean, we're not entitled to the information, but confusing. Very confusing. And concerning. Very concerning.
That I'm dating other people, work on your reaction to things.
You feel like I get upset or something?
Yeah, you get upset. I don't have to tell you what you do.
Best case scenario, she was very worried and, I guess, panicking about him being with other women and the prospect of potentially losing the relationship. And she was very sad, and she wanted to go home. Maybe he even said something, and he's like, no, sir, and wants to be with her and cares about her. And she received it that way. Given the fact that they're all lovey-dovey in the morning, maybe that's what happened? It didn't look that way, though, right?
Like I get that upset. I feel like I get an appropriate level of upset.
An appropriate level?
Yes.
So it's justifiable?
Yes.
In every instance?
In most cases, yes.
Saying, yeah, I get upset, but I think it is rational and healthy and expected given the circumstances. But we're not hearing any kind of detail. She was saying, I want to go home, let go of me, get off of me. I don't know. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. So, I don't know about you, but when I go to bed at night, for me, this is an indication that my mind is trying to work something out, either trying to solve a problem or process my feelings about something. And this is an indication I probably should talk about it with someone who cares. And of course, therapy can help with this, a place for us to express these thoughts that are plaguing us. It's a place to be heard, and it's a place for us to hear ourselves as we talk things out loud. Well, one option worth trying is BetterHelp. If you're thinking of starting therapy, it's worth giving a try. It's entirely online, it's designed to be convenient and suited to your schedule, and also you can switch therapists at any time at no additional charge. So get a break from your thoughts with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/Kirk today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Kirk.
Yeah, I remember. What's going on? How you feeling?
I'm starting to feel like it shouldn't be this hard. Like it shouldn't.
What exactly?
Like it shouldn't take this much to get to where we need to be.
Okay, so to catch you up, they all had a speed dating experience and there were a lot of connections. It's always interesting to see that because they connect over some pretty, what I would say, superficial things. Now, their dates with each other, where they're mingling by the pool and that sort of thing, is a lot longer than the edit that we're seeing, so who knows. But also it seems, based on previous iterations of The Ultimatum, it seems like for a lot of them, just think about the situation. You are now dating, because there's 4 available people, right? Because your spouse is not available to you, because you're now exes. So you have 4 people, and you are in competition with 3 other people for 4 people, right? With 3 people or 4 people? Yeah, with 3 people. So you, on a sign that you're connecting, you would have this motivation to kind of amp it up, because by the end of today, or, well, I guess they have a week, but I think it would, you would imagine that some early connections would be, particularly because if other people have early connections early on, then that's one less person that is available to you. So as soon as you have someone that's even close to the mark, you want to win that person over. And then also, if you're unfinding someone else that I want more than this person, when I'm kind of discombobulated anyway, and none of those other people like me, so I'll go with this person. Yes, I'm really into you. Who knows? Are having a conversation seemingly prompted by the cast members of, okay, who'd you connect with? Who'd you connect with? And it reminded me of polyamorous conversations that will happen. And when they have those conversations in the polyamorous community, they still suffer from jealousy and hurt feelings, but they can be heavily mitigated by a lot of philosophy and a lot of reassurance and a lot of practices and a lot of systems in place. Like one of the things that healthy polyamorous people will do is, if, say, for example, there's a couple, a primary, and they're polyamorous and you're polyamorous, and you meet up with one of the people at a party, and the primary, so let's just say it's me. I'm not polyamorous, but, and God bless polyamorous people, but I'm not. I have figured out through my life that I'm monogamous oriented, but let's just say me. So let's say that there's a couple and there's a woman, and I and her are maybe connecting, but the responsible polyamorous person will keep an eye on her primary, and if he starts to look upset or something, to talk about it. Oh, I think your partner might be a little upset. I might even go over to him and say, like, so are we going beyond the threshold? Do you want to take a break for, because I can back off. Those are the kind of conversations that will happen within polyamorous community. We separate here for a second, and me and her would say, oh yeah, totally, let's do that. Also, there's a lot of communication between the primaries of how are you doing? How did that feel last night? The amount of talking that they engage in. The joke is that what's the difference between swingers and polyamorous people? You know, swingers have sex with people, and polyamorous people talk about having sex with people. And, you know, that's not necessarily true, but the stereotype is somewhat true that to be polyamorous, you have to talk a lot. And typically, at least anecdotally, in my experience, these people are pretty high-minded and sophisticated regarding emotions and jealousy and connection and attachment and needs and sexuality and acceptance of themselves and other people. You know, they're not necessarily advanced in those areas, but they've been exposed a lot more to those ideas, and tend to do pretty well in those conversations on average. Of course, it's not always the case, but so it kind of had that feel as the 10 of them were like, who'd you connect with? You know, in a polyamorous world, that would be a pretty normal conversation. Again, there might be some pain and some jealousy, but I don't think any of these folks are polyamorous, or at least have been exposed to the philosophy. And for looking at her name, Lisa and Brian was connecting with, I believe it was Raya and Ryan. And so there was some discomfort for Lisa. I'll get the names in my head eventually. And then she was upset and walking away from the group. I mean, she wasn't walking off in a huff or anything, but she seemed to be having an emotion. And then Brian and Raya. Would I say not Raya? Anyway, so for Brian, he went after her, pursued her, and said, hey, let's talk, what's going on? And I think, and then she just said, I don't know if I want to do this. Lisa was the one that gave the ultimatum. And yeah, it would be really, really hard. Presumably, it would be hard for, I don't know, 99% of people. Your partner, the person that you want to marry, the person you're in love with, just openly date and flirt with other people, unless you're polyamorous. That is going to be very, very... The people that give the ultimatums are the ones that are really motivated to be on the show. They never really clear that up. I mean, it's possible that Brian was the one that said, hey, let's go on the show. But anyway, so she's having emotions right now, and we always see that, right? And of course, that's not the design of the show. The design of the show is you're supposed to be of the show, which is to really test these. Well, does it really test the individual? I mean, it tests her because she's the one that gave the ultimatum. She wants to be with him. So yeah, it doesn't really test. It would make sense that the ones giving the ultimatum, and we saw this during Queer Love as well, that, what was her name? I forget her name. But we've seen other people who were giving the ultimatum at this phase saying like, I don't want to do this. Yeah, it's normal. Maybe she was thinking, maybe Lisa was thinking like, well, if he loses me or he dates someone else that's not as good as me, maybe he'll realize that he wants to be with me. And she doesn't think about how that would feel. Yeah, anyway. But I will say it is a bit of a mystery as to why people would go on the show when they so clearly are not able to tolerate it. I wouldn't be able to tolerate it. So why do they even go on the show, right? It's one thing to go on a show like Love is Blind and do that to themselves. It could also, you know, I wonder what it does to the relationships too. Like for those who have been together because of the show, right? Ultimately, it wasn't good because I watched my partner and they watched me with other people, and it sort of degraded the purity or the I don't know, the exclusivity of this relationship. If we had taken a break from each other and dated other people, you know, that was, even though in the end we chose each other, I just always have this question in my mind: do they really want to be with the other person? You know, I could see that being harmful. You know, there's a certain amount of protection you want to put in place to protect your brain. You know, like not watching videos of people dying on the internet, or not exposing yourself to certain things that you just don't want to get in your head, and to expose yourself on purpose to watching the love of your life have feelings for another person. You know, that's going to do a number on you.
Like, I love you, and I can't, like, stand the thought of another woman, like, laughing and being possibly, like, living with you and sleeping with you every night and touching you. And
yeah. So why did you come on the show? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I'm totally fine with him going to bed with another woman and living with another woman for a month. No problem here. I can't imagine that she's that different now. So yeah. So why'd you go on the show? I mean, at the very least, why did you do this to yourself?
It shouldn't be this hard.
Yes, it should be this hard. That's the point of being in love with someone and being monogamously, or I mean, even if you're polyamorously oriented, you agree. A misconception about polyamorous folks is that it's an open relationship and everything goes. No, polyamorous people talk about it a lot and make rules, and there's a lot of checking in. I want to do this. Is that okay? How do you feel about it? Okay, I did this last night with someone else. How do you feel about it? And so even for people in polyamorous relationships, they can be hurt. There's infidelity in polyamorous relationships. There's jealousy, but they're monogamously oriented, presumably. And yes, it should be this hard. It should be absolutely this hard. You're in love.
My thing is, if we're not here, then we're not trying. I'm just giving up.
I'm ready for marriage.
But you don't trust me, though.
No, because you've given me reasons not to.
But you didn't. But you've had you.
And then now it's like I have to watch you with someone else.
Now, I'm guessing that some people watching and maybe commenting online would say that she's naive or trying to manipulate, but this does potentially explain that scene we saw with the camera over the bed at 1 or 2 in the morning when she was saying, I want to go home, let go of me. That was, alarming for her to be saying those things, but could be along those lines. He seems to really want to do this process. So on one hand, you could think, well, he just wants to date someone else because he's a jerkface, or he legitimately wants to find out, what would it be like to be with someone else? Would I miss being with Lisa, or would I not? And maybe that will help for, a hall pass, if you will, to find out. I don't know. Maybe we'll find out. All right. Well, that does it for that episode. If this episode of what I'm posting here posts at the beginning of September of 2023, know that we have our 15th live show coming up on September 16 and 17. That might be below in the description. At the very least, it's on the website. And please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.